Hi everybody, I'm Crystal Haynes. Tonight on Greater Boston, a film festival by and for Latinos. Cinefest Latino Boston kicks off on Wednesday, putting the focus on Latinx experiences all around the world. Then, best known as the boss on Bar Rescue, restaurateur Jon Taffer joins me with a taste of his Tavern in Watertown and his thoughts on the state of the industry. Movies have the power to bring people together and introduce audiences to communities, cultures, and concepts that they haven't experienced before. That's the goal behind the new Cinefest Latino Boston, which will feature stories from filmmakers across North, South, and Central America, which focuses on many lived experiences in the Latino community. And the first annual festival will kick off this week. We're so excited about it. Its founder and executive director, Sabrina Aviles, joins us now to discuss it. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
You know, we just saw a little bit of the trailer there. This is, I imagine, an extraordinary opportunity to really engage folks in the culture of Latin America, especially in a time when we're seeing a lot of movies that are just sort of repeating the same story over and over again.
Yeah, I think for me, as a Latina myself, it's really important for me to flip that narrative and show the other side, show another side, show that we are not all from one country, that even though we speak Spanish, we all have very, very different dialects influenced by people who have immigrated in those respective countries and because of the indigenous populations that were first there before the colonizers came. So I'm here, my mandate as both a filmmaker and a film curator is to show another side and to use film as sort of a springboard to get deeper into our culture.
So much of the industry doesn't have the proper representation, especially when you're going to the big box office and things like that. I imagine this is an opportunity for filmmakers to shine here, to have a platform that they may not necessarily always have.
Yes, and I think we pride ourselves because we really want to support the independent voice. I mean, I think I always try to tell to, especially Latino filmmakers in this country, don't go to Hollywood. Don't use Hollywood as your gauge or your don't try to be inspired by Hollywood. Go within your culture. Go see what's happening in Latin America. See what's happening in Europe. To tell those stories in very nuanced, complex and sometimes really challenging ways. But again, I think that those are risks as independent filmmakers take that we really want to support. It's not something, these are films that you would not normally see on commercial television. A couple of them ended up being on HBO, but HBO is, you know, it has a history of supporting independent voice. But that's really who we are. So if you want to see commercial film, you probably won't see it at Cinefest.
Tell me, how do you select the films?
So we have a programming committee, and a lot of the films are submitted, and so we have reviewers who then review the films and sort of flush out the ones that are, you know, take a look at this one. They score the films basically, and then the director of programming and I, we basically sit down and then kind of see, all right, what's working, what's not working, what are the themes, what is missing, because unfortunately we don't have a plethora of feature-length narrative films, so a lot of times we have to go to distributors and say what is out there. We do have them on a short level. There's a lot of fiction represented in shorts, but not on feature-length. So between our reviewing team and then our programming team, that's usually just either 2 or 3 of us. You know, there's actually another person who is involved. Then we discuss, see what is relevant, see where the themes are that could give us some kind of consistency through the film festival, and that's how we ultimately make our decisions.
Are you looking at or looking for something specific?
We don't. We sort of, the curation happens very organically.
Okay.
So we can't say this year we're going to do themes around climate change, because that may not be the flavor of the day. And also, with COVID, everything's all a little bit skewed. So, you know, there were filmmakers that were not making films. So what are the themes that are coming out? So that's what we try to do is sort of see consistency so that at least we have a through line. Not a perfect through line, but a through line through the curation.
Absolutely. So your opening film, and we have a clip for that from La Pecera?
La Pecera.
Pecera, got it.
The fishbowl.
I've been practicing that one.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this film, and then we're going to roll a clip.
So the film for me is very personal because it is a film from Puerto Rico. It was an official selection at Sundance. I saw it, you know, and I lost my father, who was from Puerto Rico, a couple of years ago. So it was, I feel like it was a way for me to, you know, pay homage to him. And I also know that the largest group of Latinos here in Massachusetts are Puerto Ricans. So I thought, why not open with this, which is an allegory, really, with what's happening now in terms of the relationship between the United States and Puerto Rico. It serves on a metaphor on very many different levels. It's a really powerful film. So.
All right, let's take a look at the clip.
Estás flaquita. ¿Cuánto tiempo te vas a quedar aquí?
No sé, un mes, una semana, no sé.
Ay, qué bueno, para recompensar el tiempo.
So obviously just a really short representation of that film, but a lot of, when I was going through all of the films that are going to be as part of this amazing festival, so many rich topics, but also a lot of fun too as well. You know, it's not always, you know, a heavy trauma narrative necessarily.
No. Yeah, we'd like to mix it up because, you know, we see a lot of these stereotypes, a lot of these trauma on the news all the time, but we don't, like I said, we never go into depth. But I also, since I've been curating film festivals, I also see us as a people as very celebratory. I read somewhere that like the happiest people on earth live in Latin America.
I believe that. I believe that.
I believe it too. And I think that there are films around art and artists and culture that for me are really important to include into the festival. Again, because it sort of debunks that myth and that label as that we're victims and that, you know, we're here to, no, we're so much more than that. And I also think that when people learn about Latin America, 9 times out of 10, it's usually through some form of art. You know, it's music, it's like, oh, Maluma from Colombia or Bad Bunny from Puerto Rico, or wonderful writers or wonderful filmmakers. So film is one of those genres where people, if they want to enter and dive deep into who we are, that's an entryway.
How has things like the writer's strike and things like that affected, you know, especially the Latino film community?
I think it's affected all community. I mean, I'm on the board of the Massachusetts Production Coalition, and it's really hit us hard. And I believe one of my colleagues, who is a union member at IATSE, said they think there's a 90 or 95% unemployment. And this is Boston, where it's known for its in the industry, but it's not like LA or New York. So I think that has trickled down especially not only to writers and actors, but also to just other film crew members. So I have spoken to, as a filmmaker, I have spoken to my own friends and colleagues in the industry, and they have felt the pinch. So even people, people think it's mostly fiction that has been affected, but it's also impacted the documentary world. So, you know, if it's impacted the world and the industry in general, it probably has trickled down to Black and brown filmmakers, for sure.
For sure, yeah. And I know, well, if folks aren't able to get their brand new shows and things like that, while that's being hashed out, come to the film festival, right?
Exactly, come to the film festival. And the wonderful thing about the film festival, we'll have a lot of directors there present, so there'll be talkbacks and Q&As, and I think that's what also sets us apart from just watching it at home, is that you actually dialogue with the filmmakers and find out about their creative process, and that is really powerful.
All right, Sabrina Aviles, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, Cinefest will run until October 5th. For tickets and more information, head to their website, cinefestlatino.com. My next guest has made a name for himself with, let's just call it, passionate approach to saving struggling bars and restaurants. Take a look.
My name is Jon Taffer.
For the next 5 days, you work for me.
All of this is frickin' wrong! This is your manager. He sits up on the bar. I've never seen that in 30 years. You're an idiot! This is the palace of a loser. Tell me I'm a loser. No, you. You take one drink, I'll fire you in front of everyone.
All right, but scores of bars and restaurants now have Jon Taffer to thank for turning their business around. And these days, he's also channeling that passion into his own restaurant, Taffer's Tavern, which has 3 locations along the East Coast, including one right down the road in Watertown. Jon Taffer joins us along with some food from your tavern. Jon, I love your show, by the way.
Thank you.
And you were telling me it's 100% real.
100%.
Not scripted.
Not scripted. And you know, and I say that on my mother's grave, 100%. I've never been to the bars before. I don't see the casting reels in advance. I'm there for 4 days.
Wow.
Crystal. So I get there the first day, I do my recon. That night, I design the bar.
Oh, wow.
The next day, I have to have all the recipes and the furniture ordered and everything. And the third day, we remodel it. And the fourth day, we reveal it. And I got to do the food recipes, the drink recipes, train them, design the interior, get the logos to the sign company and the menus printed. And so it's a pressure cooker for 4 days. And
well, how's your blood pressure after all that hollering we see on TV?
well, it's rough, but I get that hug in the end.
Yeah, you do.
You know, and the things that people say to me during that hug, Crystal, is so inspiring.
Yeah.
You know, thanks for being hard on me, Jon. I needed a good kick. You know, and you know, you helped me with my wife and you helped me communicate with my son. And so when I get that hug, I fight a little tougher the next week.
All right, and we love to see it. We also love to see all this food here from Taffer's Tavern. And let me tell y'all what you're looking at right here. We've got the game day platter.
That's one right here.
Yep. We've got the hot tavern pretzel. That's this big guy right here.
Yep.
Herbed chicken, spicy chicken sandwich. The Parmesan truffle flatbread, which I have my eye on. And then, of course, the drinks. We've got the campfire and the Cloud9. Talk to me about when you put together a menu for your own restaurant. What are things that you're thinking about?
Well, you know, in the restaurant business, there's trends and then there's staples. There's things you're going to be eating your whole life, and then there are trends that you go through. Every trend ends.
Yes, that's right.
So I wanted to provide a high-quality tavern dining experience. So you're not going to see a lot of trendy things. You're going to see a lot of predictable things. For example, I know what sports fans are here in Boston.
Yes.
You guys are crazy. So a game day platter has great pork belly on it, which is really delicious, and chicken. So, and then all of our food has a culinary flair to it. It's very high quality.
Oh, yeah.
But it fits flavor profiles that you like, that you're accustomed to. And that is, to me, the appeal of the tavern. And of course, our cocktails.
Right. Well, I was looking at this one, and this is a little bit interactive.
Yep.
So let's get into this. So this is the campfire. And this one's the Cloud9.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, the campfire is made with my Taffer's browned butter bourbon.
That's right. Well, I was just going to get to that.
Which I created in Taffer's Tavern.
Really?
One day I was in the kitchen and one of my chefs was making brown butter. And I took the brown butter, I poured it in a cooking bag, poured in the bourbon, sealed it up, boiled it for hours, took it out, put it in the refrigerator, coagulated on top, skimmed it, poured it through a filter, and browned butter bourbon was born.
Wow.
We put it in a campfire cocktail, and we sell over 1,000 a month of this cocktail. So I'm gonna have you pour this.
Okay, got it.
And then I'm gonna ignite the wood, just one sec, just to get a little smoke going here.
And it smells like a campfire, for sure.
All righty, go ahead and give it a pour.
Okay.
And you told me you're a tequila drinker.
I'm a tequila drinker, yeah.
Just give that a little smell. Tell me what you think.
Let's see. Let's try it. All right. Oh, I like the big ice cube. I know. It's the presentation. You teach that. You teach that.
Absolutely.
All right, let's give it a taste. That's tasty.
You taste the brown butter in it?
It's sweet, but it also, you still get some of that spice. in there, and of course the smoke that comes afterward.
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's delicious.
Well, this one is really fun.
Yeah.
So this one, I'm going to really have you do some work here.
Okay.
So this is our bubble gun.
Yes.
So this, you're going to dip it in this solution.
Okay.
Just hold it on top of the cocktail and push the trigger, and watch what happens.
That's so cool. I love that.
So that comes out to your table with the big bubble on it.
Yeah.
It pops, and give that a taste.
Okay, let's see. Cheers, everybody. That's tasty. Oh, I love the citrus. The citrus of that light tastes kind of like lemonade a little bit. Yeah.
You know, a great cocktail has three things. There's sweet, sour, and alcohol. If it's too sweet, you don't like it. If it's too sour, you don't like it. If it's too much alcohol, you don't like it. So balance is the key, to balance those ingredients. And when it's balanced like that, that's when it's smooth and it goes down so easily. But you know, to me, when I create, whether it's on Bar Rescue or for myself, I don't think we're in a restaurant business, Crystal. I think we're in a reaction business.
Yeah.
Because it's the way you react to the food that matters.
I'm going to taste this this flatbread, and I want you to talk to me about how you got into the restaurant bar business.
Sure. I went to college at University of Denver. Actually, I took political science classes, believe it or not. But I started tending bar in college. And Crystal, I fell in love with the good, huh?
Yeah, so good.
I fell in love with the industry when I was in college, so I never really entered the political arena. Thank God for that. but I've loved this industry, and you know, think about it. I make people smile for a living. When I do a good job, you smile with your friends, you smile with your child, with your family. So, what an amazing legacy to be somebody who's focused on smiles. And I looked at that very young in my life and said, you know, I don't want to be in the auto shop business where people aren't smiling.
Right.
I want to be where they are.
Right. So when you go into a place, you know, you talk a little bit about your formula when you're turning bars and restaurants around.
Yeah.
What is the first thing you look for in terms of, will this even be a successful project, right? Because you all work super hard over those 4 days.
We sure do. You know, fixing a business is sort of easy. Fixing a person is tough. I have to make their eyes land in different places, their brains observe different things and react differently to the things they do observe. That's my biggest challenge. Some of these people, candidly, I could build them the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
And they'd fail.
Yeah.
Other people, they'd succeed in an outhouse with the right training, because you know, so much of it is spirit and ambition and desire to serve. Great restaurateurs have a desire to serve. You know, I want to serve you. I derive pride from the look on your face when I do serve you. And it's very noble when you look at it in that fashion, that people trust us with an hour and a half of their time.
Yeah. Does it ever bother you or get to you when you see that, you know, you thought you set up a business for success, and then maybe a week later or a year later, they fail?
Yeah. Sometimes in the beginning, now I've done 240 episodes over 13 years. In the beginning, I took it very personally, because I would connect with these people, you know, and I knew their spouse, and I met their children, and I'm caring about the whole family, not just the business, and the well-being of the people involved, the individuals involved. So it was very difficult, but, you know, now I look at it in this way, and I think you'll probably smile when I say this. I take their ship, I true it, I paint it, I make sure it runs beautiful, and I give them a map. I can't stop them from driving it into a reef.
Yeah.
So I've started to do the best I can, motivate them, train them, give them my heart and soul, if you will, and then I got to sort of push them off to sea and hope they can steer.
Yeah. When you choose a place, is location also important? You know, you talk about location with the folks who ask for your help. In choosing your restaurant, do you think about location as well?
Of course. Of course. You know, it's not only success, but who am I going to serve? Who do I want to serve? And you know, when a restaurant is community-based, with a community focus, you know who lives there. You're opening it to serve that community, not yourself. You're opening it to serve the community. You're playing the music the community likes, the food the community likes. That's when you're successful. And you know, I call it sensitivity. But you know, restaurants need to serve their communities, not the other way around. And a lot of owners build restaurants for themselves If they're going to do that, Crystal, I suggest they do it in their basements. They're better off.
Well, you know what? You do have, this philanthropic, piece to you and your work and your company and things like that. I think many people watched your episodes in Puerto Rico after the devastating hurricane. We all know about how the pandemic really wiped out restaurants. Talk to me about why that work is important. And then we're going to talk about how you're going to be in town for a little bit.
On bar rescue, so often the owners messed up. They weren't responsible, they didn't this, they didn't that, and they caused their own failure. And then I look at the philanthropic work that I do, like Puerto Rico. Wonderful couple, right? Loyal to each other. They're just abundant in every aspect of personality you could imagine. And Mother Nature took their business away from them. They were a month away from losing their house. They had lost their business. There were no provisions because there was no support on the island, so there was no provisions to get them open. So I wound up going to Luisa, was the name of the town, and I wound up rebuilding the community center, the basketball court, the baseball field, and the bar and restaurant. And it was probably the best few weeks of my life.
Yeah.
To really make an impact that way. And of course, now I hear from them all the time, and we're all very, very dear friends. But there's something special when you can help somebody like that in a way that isn't just short term. You're getting them on their feet for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
It affects their children, their grandchildren. It's multi-generational if I can do it well.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Absolutely. And we're excited to have Taffer's Tavern just down the road in Watertown. We're going to be there.
At Arsenal Yards.
At Arsenal Yards. We love it. And thank you so much. Delicious food here. I cannot praise it enough. And you're going to be in town for a little bit, right?
I am. I'm going to be at Gordon's tonight at Arsenal Yards, and I'm going to be signing Taffer's Tavern liquor bottles.
Yes.
And that's really fun. Hopefully everybody can come out and see me. And I'm at Liquor World tomorrow in Sharon.
Okay.
And then I'll be at the Tavern tonight and tomorrow night, just shaking hands and meeting people and taking pictures and having fun.
All right. We're going to come on down.
Look forward to it.
Jon Taffer, thank you.
Good to be with you.
Next up, fall is in the air. Can you smell it? And just in time, meteorologist David Epstein has what you need to know about getting your outdoor plants to thrive indoors during the cold weather. He's here with some helpful tips on making sure your plants are bug-free before you bring them inside and how much to water them once that cold weather comes.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Dave Epstein, and it is getting to be fall. These plants, which are sitting outside and have been all summer long, are going to eventually need to go back inside. And there's a couple of steps that I like to do with the plants that I bring in, so I'm not letting some insects hitchhike in there. Now, once they're in, you got to take care of them, so I'm going to tell you about that as well. Well, before I bring any plants inside, one of the things I like to do is check, make sure there's no weeds growing in there. I might take off some of the dead stuff. And then I will look for any evidence of insects. If I see any, I'll try to basically remove those. Step number 2 in my little process is you want to put on some horticultural oil. So horticultural oil, this is an all-season oil, and it says here controls aphids, mites, scales, whiteflies. Those are all things which love to be inside during the course of the winter. So when you spray the horticultural oil on the plant, you're basically removing the insects which may be on there right now, and you're also smothering the eggs which you might bring inside, and that way they're not going to hatch. The next step you want to do is to add a systemic, which is something that goes in the soil like these little granulars here. The plant takes up the poison. It is poison. This is not organic. And any insects that are not controlled with the hort oil will end up getting killed by the systemic. Now, a couple of caveats here. This is poison. If I were going to actually be doing it, I'd have gloves on, which is important, especially if you're mixing it in the soil. The other thing is I would not add it to something that I'm going to eat, like the key limes, right? So if I had limes on this, I don't want to do that because the poison is also going to end up in what you're going to eat. And between the hort oil and the systemic, generally, the insects are kept at bay throughout the winter. Once the plants have been treated for insects, it's time to get them inside. And now you have to care for them a little bit differently than you would have because plants aren't growing. Also, don't feed them. November, December, and January are our lowest light months, and you don't want to be feeding your plant in those low light months because the plant's not going to be able to use the nutrients. Think of yourself getting up in the middle of the night and someone feeds you a Thanksgiving meal. You don't really want it, so the plant doesn't want to eat that much. And really check the soil to be sure that it's not too wet. Also be sure that you have a little tray underneath the plant so that it catches the water. You don't want to ruin your furniture or anything like that. And also never have water sitting in the tray because that means that the soil's too moist and it can't absorb the water, so now your plants are going to rot. Many plants will end up dying during the course of the winter because folks overwater them. They treat them the same way in the winter as they do during the growing season, and you really want to cut back on your water in those low light months. Finally, I recommend checking your plants at least every 3 weeks during the course of the winter for insects. And what do you do if you get insects? Well, there generally are some days where the temperature is above 40 degrees over the course of the winter. Take them back outside, spray them with the horticultural oil. There's some that you can have that are already mixed, so you don't need the hose or anything like that, and that should take care of any of those insects. If it's still really cold and you want to take care of them, a garage works or a back porch or something like that, or even inside the shower. I've done that when we've had those long cold stretches where you just can't get your plants outside. For GBH, I'm Dave Epstein.
Have a question for David? He'll have more how-tos on the GBH News YouTube channel, or reach out to him across social media where he goes by @GrowingWisdom. All right, everybody, that does it for tonight. But come back tomorrow. UMass Memorial Hospital in Leominster has shut down its birthing center. We'll take a look at how it's impacting the community. Plus, a new feature in the New York Times is a window into what it's like being 13 in 2023. The writer behind it joins me. That and more tomorrow at 7. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.